all gone. Someone's eaten my pudding. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clank Zoka. Welcome to another Mystery My Thoughts On. And this will probably be the last one. And while I do enjoy making these, I don't really see too many people getting involved with it. And I mean, they're nothing complicated. All you have to do is just follow the 3 hints to see what the film is, and it has gone okay, but most of the people just put in just guesses. And I don't mean like just a guess, I mean just something that's related to the 3 hints. So for this one, like always, everyone's just getting it wrong, and I was just kind of experimenting with this idea. But I think after this, I think I'll stop doing them because I don't know. I mean, they were fun, I guess, but I don't really plan to do any more of them. So this is going to be the last one, and the 2 people commented got it wrong. One of them said the Lorax, and yes, it is animated. It is based on a book, but it came out in the 2010s, not 2000s. Someone said the EMOGI movie. That's not based on a book. It's animated, but that's also 2010s. Seriously, people, you have to think a lot. You're gonna have to come up with something better, because if you just say that, then you're wrong. Do some research. Sorry. Yeah, so this will be the last Mystery My Thoughts On. I will continue to do these My Thoughts Ons. I'm not gonna stop. Not yet, anyways, but this is the last Mystery My Thoughts On, since I think people don't seem to really care that much. Not that it matters anyway, since they don't get that many views, which is fine by me. Anyway, so the film with these 3 hints is The Magic Pudding. Seriously, you couldn't guess that from the joke I did at the beginning? Anyways, The Magic Pudding originally is a book from Norman Lindsay. Norman Lindsay. It's about these 3 characters: Bunyip Bluegum, Sam Sornoff, Bill Barnacle, and their pudding named Albert. I've never read the book. I don't really know what it's about. And if this film is trying to be like the book or capture the spirit of the book, I highly doubt this book is this interested. So just like any other film based on source material, this was released by Icon Production Entertainment, who pretty much about a good chunk of their family films are not quite bad, but they're fine. They released Thomas and the Magic Railroad, which I thought was okay, but a nice childhood film. The Little Vampire was okay, and I will do that when Halloween comes. They did a film called what was it, Fairy Tale? A True Story? It's about fairies. It was like late 90s. I highly doubt it's a true story. There's like 4 children and it. And then they did Postman Pat the movie, which I also thought wasn't too bad. Although I can't say they're not like Disney or Pixar, but their films I do respect the shit out of them. They're films that are just there just to entertain young audiences, and they can be very risky, and I like when these films do that. I actually prefer these family films, despite the fact I've only seen like 5 of them. They are better than the Vertigo films, and at least these films do have nostalgia, and at least they're interesting and they feel like theatrical films. I need to see Fairy Tales and 4 Kids and it. I might do Postman Pat. I've asked one of my friends. I was going to do a crossover. Okay, so sorry. I'm sorry if I'm taking a bit long here, but yeah. So before I get into the Magic Pudding, I should all say I'm not going to be doing the crossover with my friend the Night Guard. who I know from secondary school and college. He wanted me to do a crossover with him for the Postman Pat movie, and I was like, yeah, we can do that. I did promise him I would do it, but I've kind of had second thoughts. Since I don't do reviews anymore, and since I think the crossover is probably just going to end up getting blocked, I think I'll do my thoughts on it, but I have commented on his latest video, and I don't really want to do it without him looking at it and saying, yeah, fine, or whatever. If he says it, if he says, if he says yes to me saying, I can't do the crossover, and then that's fine. If he doesn't agree, I'll still do it anyways. I mean, I'm not going to do the crossover now. I did really want to do it, but since I'm not really into reviewing anymore, I'm not the nostalgia critic. I'm not cinema snob. I'm not any of them guys. I mean, there are other reviewers on this YouTube platform that can do it better than me. Cinema snob, like I said, Fayless, nostalgia critic. Although I don't really, I've lost interest in nostalgia critic, but I still watch his videos, but not like to be entertained. But I'm just interested in his thoughts on films. So yeah, so the review portion is better off to them. I had fun with my reviews. Not going to do any more. Crossovers, no. Sorry you had to hear that, but I can't keep doing them. I know they do sound fun to do, but they're just going to end up being blocked because YouTube's shit. Okay, with that said, what I'm saying is Icon Production family films I do have some weird respect for. And with the Magic Pudding, this is a really strange one. This is from Australia, where the book is originally from. I didn't see it when it came out. This was like early 2000s, and I mean like at the very start of the decade. I do remember seeing like clips, like bits of the film on television. No, seriously, this film was actually on telly at one point. I think on the BBC. And I just remember seeing Bunyip in the water, and that's it. And it's one of those films where I was like, oh, what is it called? I need to find it, sort of film. I found it a few years later after I looked up koala animated films, and I saw The Magic Pudding, and I thought, The Magic Pudding? This can't be it. So I watched the film like 3 years ago, and yep, it's the one I was thinking of. This film, I've heard many people say it feels like a dream. Just watch the trailer for it. Any of the trailers, or the videos of the trailer, people are commenting saying like, hang on, I thought this was all a dream, it's real? People seem to have very strange thoughts about the trailer. The film itself is rather split between audiences. People seem to like it okay, but people found it a bit insulting to the source material. How do I stand on this? Well, let's have a look. So the story of The Magic Pudding is about these pudding owners. One named Bill Barnacle. He's voiced by Hugo Weaving. He's a tough man. He's not that much of a softie. He's a fighter. Sam Sornoff, the Penguin, who's voiced by a kind of an unrecognisable Sam Neill. He's more like the soft-spoken member of the group. And the Pudding, Albert, voiced by a very weird choice, John Cleese. They find this pudding, and this pudding is actually infinite. Once you eat the entire pudding, it respawns. However, their shipmate named Bunkle, voiced by Jack Thompson, wants to eat the entire pudding because he's fat and he likes eating. But after he gets separated when they find the pudding, he swores revenge on Sam Sornoff and Bill Barnacle to get the pudding back. And so years later, he goes to Australia. Somehow he creates this like underground belly or something, where he gets most of these animals as slaves, and he will either eat one of them or eat the pudding. So he brings in these two wombat cousins. I think one of them's name is like Watkin. I think one's name Watkin or Watkin, and it's not a reference to Wilkins coffee or anything. So they both come in and they both try and get the pudding. But Sam and Bill try to keep Albert safe while they're out there. However, the main story besides that is about this koala named Bunyip Bluegum, voiced by Geoffrey Rush. It's his birthday and he wants to go and find his parents because he found out that he's probably not an orphan after all. After Bunkle's goons took both his mother, who's voiced by Toni Collette, and his father, I think voiced by someone named Billin, I don't know. And so he has to just go find the parents and solve some clues, and he comes across, obviously, Bill Barnacle, Sam and Albert, and all three of them, even though Albert blindly just ignores what they do most of the time, they agreed to go along with him to go find his parents. And the way to describe the film's tone is kind of hard to explain. On one hand, it's kind of energetic and it has this big humour that wants to keep your attention, but on the other side, it also wants to be touching and very soft. If you watch this on a DVD, and if you look at the animation quality, which I will get to in a bit, this feels like either a Disney rip-off or something, since this looks kind of like a Disney film, or some straight-to-DVD film with its quality and use of my very hyperactive humour and speed and big musical numbers that's all over the place. This film is insane with its execution. Most of the time it just moves with its pacing and it doesn't stop. There are moments where I was like, whoa, okay, I think you need to slow it down a little bit. There are moments where it does have its nice moments, and I'll admit the film does have a good heart, and even the emotional moments are very well done. But all it wants to do is dangle keys in front of kids. It's there just to keep them awake and keep them watching the film, which is not a good thing at all. Films are there to tell stories and bring you into their world, and this film does tell a story, but not in a completely normal and cinematic way. It does it in the most random, over-the-top, humorous way. Well, when I say humorous, I mean it does it in its own humorous way. Not necessarily saying the film's funny. I mean, the humor's okay. It's rather mixed, and most of it's either like adult humor, like bottom humor, or fart humor. I can't recall any fart humor in here. There is a boob joke with one of the wombats in disguise, and Albert going into Bunyip's trousers is. And you also do get a closer shot of one of the characters' crotch, because they got them. Well, Bill and Sam have trousers that go up all the way, I think near their shoulders and their armpits. It's so weird. With that said, like I said, these Icon production films I do have mad respect for. This film, I'll give it this. I like the dark tone, especially when we're seeing Bunkle and his crew underground. It's something like from Disney, and if this was from Disney, which it isn't, I think this could have worked a lot more. But I think it's done to its advantage. I like when films go dark. Even if the film's not exactly kid-friendly, I like that. Thomas and the Magic Railroad was a little bit scary, I guess. A little vampire, obviously. Postman Pat the movie, not really. This is probably the darkest out of all of them. And they were interesting. They were very different, and it was really kind of unique for a film like this. And the scenes where the film does take its time and slow down, it's really well done. The emotional bits, while there isn't many, it's well done. Especially the scene where Bunyip's in, where he accidentally falls into the like Swamp and the song. I don't know what the song's called, but it's the song that Toni Collette sings. Who voices the mother of Bunyip, and it does explain where she's gone and why Bunyip was left with his uncle, who, by the way, really annoying. By the way, that scene alone was genuinely really well done, really touching as well, and you do feel bad for Bunyip, and you want him to find his parents. And I do, and I like energy. I like when film has energy and enthusiasm, but this one probably has too much. I like cartoony slapstick, and this film does have a good chunk of it, but maybe does it a little too much. It's like the filmmakers were very obsessed with cartoony humour and big energy, and it's like, okay, we need these two elements mashed together and make it bigger. Just because a film has energy doesn't mean the story is any good. It's just there just to keep your kids' attention, which is not a good thing, although it is fun to look at, but you need to tell a story. Okay, I'll admit, the story and the writing is not too bad. At least it has a darker element to it, at least it does have a good heart, and I love the message and the theme of teamwork and sticking together. And I think the emotional moments, especially with Bunyip, is really touching and well done. Now and then, the film can give me like a little smirk and chuckles, thanks to the voice acting, but most of the humour is either just been there, done that, very inappropriate, like sex humour, like again, breasts, bottom, you name it, and the energy, while fun to look at, can be a little bit too much. So, Magic Pudding, I wish you were just a normal film without energy or inappropriate humour. Oh wait, you can't get that kind of pudding because it doesn't exist. If this was by Disney, this would have been different, but for what it is, I guess it's kind of passable. Animation. Now, before I get into the animation of the film, I swear I'm not the only one who's seeing this. So, so I watched the trailer for this film on YouTube. There was like a VHS opening to The Little Vampire, and there was also another trailer that's in the same quality. Am I the only one who thinks that the trailer or the film itself in VHS looks a lot more film-worthy than what we've got here? This one just, again, bringing it up straight to DVD quality, it looks like something you would see in like Poundland or something, and it's like a film that's not very well known, but it has that very cheap quality to it. And where in VHS it actually has that good VHS and even cinema quality. And I don't know why, but that's so weird. Christmas Carol the movie has that exact same problem. And yes, I will do that as well when it's close to December and November and Christmas. That's going to be an interesting one. Anyways, the animation, besides that little distracting problem, it's actually a really nicely animated film. It looks pretty, it looks beautiful, I mean, I know I get that CGI 3D animation was kind of catching on, but it wasn't good to see some 2D animation now and then. And this film, while not the best example, does have some nice style to it. The characters, I think they all, although they do look a bit like they came from a Don Bluth or some, nope, that's all I've got. They look like they came from a Don Bluth film, although at the same time their designs are nicely drawn, they look very charming and very unique. Their cartooniness may be a little bit over the top, but they do look good. They've got smooth movements, although now and then they can be a bit clunky and fast. I love Albert's design, I think he looks quite cool. Bunkle's design is really, really big. He looks like a really big, threatening villain, while characters like Bunyip and Sam look very sweet and innocent. The backgrounds look very gorgeous. They look like paintings. It's really nice. So it's actually a really nicely well done animated film. Again, it's not the best since it can be. And while I do admire the speed, I keep saying speed, but energy of the film, but it can be a little bit tiresome and a little bit. The editing can be a little bit clunky to a point where it looks like they've moved from 1 second to the next, and they don't even animate how they're moving. It's just like they just got from one place to another, like teleportation or something. So yeah, the animation is very good. I don't think it's great since it's not, it's not Disney or anything, and it's not the best edited animation. But from Australia, this is from Energy Entertainment. It looks quite beautiful and it does have nice style to it. I'll give it that. And even in the third act, when we see Albert grow and grow as a bigger pudding, the animation really does shine. And also, especially in Bunkle's underground layer, I guess. I love the dark, shady tones. It shows that this film wants to be more than just a kid's film, even though it kind of already is, but it looks really polished and nice. Again, the animation's not great, but at least it's something I can admire. Characters and acting. Most of the characters in this film are just kind of one-dimensional and a tad bit annoying. The characters I do enjoy is Albert, Bunkle, Bunyip, Sam, and that's it. I think Bill's enthusiasm and good heart is there, and his fighting spirit's good, but he can be a little bit annoying and a bit over the top at times. Sam's quite soft-spoken and he's nice, but he still has the fighting spirit. Bunyip is probably the most likable out of all of them. He can have these very strict turns and moments. I can kind of relate to him at times. Albert is a joy to watch. He's very cheeky, but he has a good heart and he does make lots of comments. Bunkle he may be a bit of a naive doofus since he just wants to eat a pudding. He's a character that I do enjoy, but I also kind of feel bad for him. I mean, his motivation for why he wants to eat the pudding is not very well explained. He's just a villain who just wants to eat the pudding because it's magical. I can easily see this character being redeemable since he was with. I mean, spoiler alert, I guess. I mean, this film, it doesn't explain much as to how Bunkle ended up with Bill and Sam. It would have been interesting to know why. But he is a character I do feel. I mean, besides Bunyip, I do feel bad for him. Yes, he's evil, but he could learn from his mistakes. And his fate near the end of the film is rather. It's questionable, but you do kind of feel bad for him. And his fate remains unknown for now. Ginger, who's probably Bunkle's top assistant, she's really entertaining as this, like, a very cocky, very bossy rat. I think it's a rat. I don't know. His two cousins, the two wombats, the one with the wonky eye, and the other one who looks more like brown fox. They're both pretty annoying. It's also not very well established if they're both heroes or not, because every time a character tries to be redeemed, they just immediately just go back to what they're doing. Like, these characters then get imprisoned by Bunkle, and then when they actually escape from the... Again, spoiler alert, but what do you expect for this film to happen? They escape from the layer, and they said, oh, we're good if you get to know us. And yet they still continue to grab the pudding, so... I mean, Bunkle's the one I kind of want to see redeemed, but these two, make up your minds. The two parents of Bunyip are probably actually really surprising in just how sweet they are. Since Bungle didn't have the pudding yet, they both decide to sacrifice themselves to be eaten, which is not only kind of dark but also heroic, so he can let the prisoners live. It's rarely something you'd seen in an animated film, which is kind of surprising. The voice acting, I think, is what makes these characters lots of fun. John Cleese as Albert, while not a great choice, I think it's kind of odd. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love John Cleese, but he's not Australian, he's British. However, his performance is still fun, quirky, cheeky, and hilarious. Sam Sornoff, or I just realised something. Sam Neill voices Sam Sornoff. Now it makes too much bloody sense. Sam doesn't sound too different from his voice. He doesn't even sound like he's Australian. He's very soft spoken and he does do that. He makes these like very strange noises, which kind of shows how soft he is. Hugo Weaving sounds like he's having a blast as Bill Barnacle. I think Jeffrey Rush is probably the weakest. I mean, his performance here is definitely good, but he doesn't sound any different. He just sounds very nice and charming. Jack Thompson's performance as Bunkle is really, really fantastic. He gets really big and really threatening, and his voice changes. It's so cool. Toni Collette as Bunyip's mum is nothing special. She's good, but she doesn't say that much. Although I will admit, if that's her singing that song, if you know which one I'm talking about, she has a good singing voice. Whoever is singing that is great. The characters are kind of a mixed bag. There are some that are interesting, but the rest are either one-dimensional, comedic, annoying, or they don't do much. But thanks to some strong voice acting, these characters can all share a pudding that's actually worth talking about, eating. I don't even know, what am I doing with these pudding jokes? On a side note, this film technically is a musical, although the musical numbers is only like what? There's like three. There's one about Bunyip going to find his parents. There's one about Bill and Sam singing about Albert. There's one about Bunyip's mum and looking for Bunyip himself and getting captured by, well, you can guess who. And then there's like a song where Bunyip and the pudding owners try to get Albert. There's like a song about the underground and partying by Bunkle and Ginger. The songs are actually quite catchy and nice to listen to, but there is no real point to putting them in the film. It's technically not a musical, although if it was, it would definitely have straight to DVD, straight to DVD quality. And with these songs, as great as they are, they do kind of have that. And the music, genuinely, by, I'm going to forget his name in a minute, Chris Harriott, is nice. Sure, it's a bit generic and a bit too bland, but it is nice to listen to. The music in general is great. Well, what the hell did you expect from a film called The Magic Pudding? I mean, if you're fans of the book, which I don't really see that many of, if you like the books, you might like or be very disappointed by this film. I know there are people that actually can't stand this film. I get both sides, but personally, it was alright. The Magic Pudding may not be a good animated film, but it's not terrible. At least the animation looks pretty, and there are a few characters that are actually pretty entertaining to watch, especially Albert, Bunkle, and Bunyip. The voice acting is top notch. I think the music's quite beautiful. I'll give it credit for some dark elements and touching moments with a good heart, and now and then some amusing comedy, but It's all over the place with its tone and humour. The animation at times can look a bit clunky and a bit straight to DVD quality. Some of the characters are annoying and pretty forgettable, and the songs can be out of place for a film that's not really that much of a musical. If you have kids, they will like this film fine. If you have a special place in your heart for the book, you're probably not going to like this film because I highly doubt it captures the spirit, since most films based on books and all of that, they don't always stick to the theme and tone of what of what the book is supposed to be about. Sometimes stuff like Paddington and Where the Wild Things Are does it great and expands on it. This film is kind of in the middle. I can't say it captured the book, and I highly doubt it does. Maybe the animation does capture the look of it a little bit, but I did like this a little more than Artemis Fowl. Like all these other films are based on books. At least this one was fun to watch, I guess. It's not a good film, but I can't say I hate it. It's honestly fine. So I watched this film before. I think I gave it 6.1, and my opinion here really hasn't changed. So 6.1. It's probably the best out of all the family films from Icon Production, but that's not really saying much. In terms of actual Icon Production films, Mary and Max, which coincidentally has Toni Collette, is the best one. You could say that's a kids' film, but no. Despite the 12A rating, it's not. And the worst, it's not as bad as 999, which also coincidentally has Geoffrey Rush in it. So this one's just in the middle. In terms of animated Icon films, this one's in the middle. It's slightly better than Postman Pat, I'll say that, and for that film, that's a story for another time. Whew. I did want to talk about this film for a while because it kind of stuck with me a little bit. It was so bizarre, but I did kind of enjoy it. It's okay, but it wasn't too bad. So yeah, Magic Pudding. That's it. That's all I've got. If you have seen the film, which I highly doubt because I don't think that many people heard of this film before, but if you have seen it, do you think it's good, bad, decent, or do you want to see it? Let me know below, and next up, you'll just have to wait and see. As always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Until next time, I need to get myself a pudding myself because I'm actually quite hungry. Like, my bowl is actually empty. There was pudding in this bloody thing, but I'll have to get John Cleese in to wear a bloody pudding outfit. Make him transform into apple pudding or black pudding, why not? Okay, that's a bit too weird, but yeah. I'll just go and buy some pudding from a shop somewhere when this bloody lockdown COVID-19 is over. I want more pudding.